to see what happens in this next map.
Just as a quick reminder, you guys can use the hashtag Faze up in the chat and make sure you're following. We have another swag bag giveaway. We've actually upped it to 2 swag bags total. So if you want a $500 swag bag from Faze with all Faze merch, use hashtag Faze up in the chat. Make sure you're following the channel. We've got more giveaways coming your way throughout the tournament. But now it's time to head to Ascent, where it's the pistol round. Take it away, boys.
Thank you so much, Moses. Make sure you guys are out there using that hashtag in the chat. Also, because I wanted to have an excuse to say Faze up. So there you go. Now I'm cool. But I'm not cool. What has been cool though, Gaskin? This level of Valorant we're seeing right now.
It has been so cool. And do you know what I didn't get a chance to say was how influential those pistol rounds were in the last game, and how EnVy were able to pick up both pistol rounds and how it's so important for them. Maybe we can see something different from Sentinels. Maybe they can be the ones to pick up the pistol rounds on this occasion. As sinatraa is going to be attacking here, has to be careful crossing mid, but opts to take the fight against the Ghost, which is never going to be a fun situation to be in.
Now aKis playing inside of this dark cover will get picked. No, does not get picked off. He actually will not be seen inside of tree room. Thankfully, they do have eyes there because they have numbers to be able to look around. And Shahzam does manage to topple both aKis and FNS to win the round there. That could have gotten a little dicey. And the pistol will go to Sentinels at the start. A good way for them to kind of reestablish themselves in this series. They're not out of this at all, not by a long shot. Neither team is. Sentinels are not really in a position I think they should be worried, because we're here on Ascent, which is another map that they have just managed to learn faster than anyone else and implement strategies faster than anyone else, to the point where it's forced everyone else in NA Valorant to just step up. Because this map, I think new maps oftentimes get avoided, like the way people were just avoiding Split, like, you know, like it was just some kind of disease. Now everyone's playing this map because they know, like, there's only 4 maps in the pool. You gotta put that work in.
Yeah, I'm going to highlight what I said earlier as well. I think that Sentinels have less weaknesses than EnVy do across the 4 maps, or at least from what we've seen in previous tournaments. I think that has changed this tournament. EnVy have certainly shown that it doesn't matter who they're going up against, and they can play consistent across several different maps now, better than they did before in prior tournaments. They just need to make sure they don't allow Sentinels to run away with things on this map. Because if Sentinels come back now, they're going to be angry. Let's be completely honest. Sentinels are not a team that enjoy losing. They want to remain at the top. They don't want people to make fun of them. They don't want to be part of memes. So they are going to ensure that they continue to be consistently dominating as they get the opening 2 frags on this eco round for EnVy.
Well, they're certainly going to be living that lifestyle here in the second round. They'll have some guns too, to just the classics that you'll see for EnVy. Spike down, only 2 players left alive here, and Shahzam pretty much has a beat on one of them. Second player will be there too, but Shahzam going to play the mid. His teammates will go ahead and handle that. The call's been made. They're going to rotate this one around. Calypso, though, still managing to pick up a kill, can actually get himself another kill here, which would be nice for them and for them to be able to try and get a little bit more cash in their pocket. Not going to be the case, though, as they will clear the entirety of EnVy, thus giving themselves that crucial second round win after taking that pistol. Stats are on your side for winning it. They can just build upon this now, despite the fact that EnVy will have guns.
Yes, EnVy are going to be able to buy up on the 3rd round. I'm always interested to see what a team does on their 3rd round purchase as well. When you have just won the first 2, they're going to opt for 2 rifles, but they can afford those 2 rifles because they saved and they only had a couple of Ghosts as well as those SMGs. So it means that even if they lose this round, Sentinels, they're still going to have money to buy up next. So that's very important. This is almost a bonus round where they can damage EnVy's economy and then get the advantage into the next. And that's going to be the perfect way to start. dapr taking down mummAy. Moses was saying how influential mummAy was with a lot of his early impact frags, and he's completely right. So if you can shut him down, if you can take him out of the equation in the early stages, you're going to be in a great spot.
Oh, and aKis actually popped up behind Sick, but thankfully zombs had his buddies back. Now, the reason why mummAy died so quickly there was because it was an op with no armor. Not even 25 armor. So they couldn't protect him. And he was taking an aggressive angle too. So I think that, you know, dapr will just walk all over you at that point. He spammed right into it. And the moment you get tagged, you can't move out of that. And that's just it. You know, like there's just no real options for you to try and bail from that engagement, even as a Jett.
Now EnVy are just going to be saving these 2 rifles and hope to maybe get some exit frags, but Sentinels are not only going to have the monetary advantage in the next round, but also should be able to save all these previous rifles that they were able to get. Although I say that, kaboose does a little bit of damage, and then here comes the second node. Zombs denies, and now EnVy, their money is not going to be good whatsoever. And I'm really pleased to see that Sentinels managing their economy a little bit better when it comes to that 3rd round to 4th round than other teams have been doing, not just in this tournament, but other tournaments as well. I mean, I know it is one of those big discussions as what to do, but I think if you want a clear indication of the best way to do it, I think Sentinels do demonstrate that quite often. But for EnVy, I mean, when you are on the defensive side and you do have a little bit, a little money to work with, should I say, of course, you've always got those options to go for shorties, you've got the options to have the sheriffs as well, and you can surprise the attacking team.
Cage triggered.
That will be their win condition here. They just need to catch someone off guard and then try and benefit from that one as the action starts. Sentinels will take control of mid. One player is going to be scattered out in the back here, and they are going to be running into him right in a moment's notice, and there it is. So aKis could not do anything. There goes a Hunter's Fury. He's going to be activated as well. Sinatraa so close to the mark, but ends up not being able to get a kill out of that one. And in that exchange, they lose Shahzam too. Sick around the flank might actually pick up one. Kill starting to be exchanged there, and Sick did not get involved in that battle, but instead it was going to be the Cyphers that did so. B site available again. And it is a foregone conclusion that Sentinels will win this. They have the better weapons. They have the numbers advantage. They have the spike down. At this point now, it's just a matter of whether or not EnVy can take any of the guns that are on the ground, save some cash, and give them an opportunity to try and see if they can rip away the economy, right? Like, just, hey, thank you so much for buying this weapon. Unfortunately for Calypso, not enough though. Kaboose does snag that op, and if he bails out with this one, that could be big for them.
Sentinels do have the money to hunt him down though, and Sick, I mean, he's been oozing confidence throughout this tournament. There were a couple of moments, of course, in that previous game on Split where he maybe was overconfident on the attacking side, but I'd always say that if you are consistent with your confidence, you are going to be rewarded with it eventually. And Sentinels now 4-0 up. EnVy can buy at this point. Sentinels have been able to get onto this B site somewhat comfortably, so I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to try and hit it until it stops working. Until EnVy have an answer, why wouldn't you keep going towards this B site and consistently getting onto it? There is going to be the boost as well to try and catch the player onto short, but is there going to be the bait? Doesn't look like we're going to see Kaboose take that on short. Instead, he's just sitting defensively. And EnVy, I think, recognize that this is an important round to get them back into this game, GB. That's why we're seeing such hesitancy on their defensive side now.
They can't afford it. They've taken a risk. That big risk with the op no shield, that hurt them. Set them up for failure in that 4th round. That was actually a great shock dart that was played out there. It destroys the utility that was located right at that walkway onto B site. But on the other side, though, mid-cubby action, as the flash is now going to come through, and Sick is going to be the one to initiate for this one. The recon dart is going to be played, but Kaboose is living inside of this dark cover here. He is one with the shadows. aKis gets a kill on the outside. dapr does manage to exchange that one against aKis, and now Calypso, along with Kaboose, waiting to go inside. They have to just charge this one instantly, and Kaboose does manage to... Oh my... What? What? What a shot! What a shot!
That spray transfer is absolutely insane there from Calypso. I mean, of course, he had the benefit of being in his ult, so he could be so fearless and he can go for whatever the hell he wants, but still hitting shots like that is ridiculous. And it gets EnVy back on the board now. Sentinels just not expecting that one player waiting in tree. Sick was not wise to it whatsoever. So even though the dark cover was there to stop that angle from being shot from, Sick still opted to walk through the dark cover, which is surprising to me. I feel like you would avoid that bubble completely because you are going to be vulnerable from that side. Otherwise, what's the point of putting that dark cover there? Anyway, doesn't matter. EnVy are going to be more than happy to put one on the board. And now look at their money. They can get 2 ops to work with and make things a little bit more difficult for Sentinels to get onto these sites.
And 2 ops on split with the narrow chokes going into each site is quite challenging to deal with.
Cage triggered.
dapr does activate this cyber cage for some coverage, but now the rolling thunder is going to be played out. The first op player is actually going to back away. The second one's going to be right outside of the red room. mummAy's all the way in the back. A player did manage to make his way all the way to the edge of the runway there, and mummAy does manage to win that fight despite his best efforts, though. And then kaboose from the red room, the follow-up, actually be right there to help his team. And then for some reason Shahzam was pushing out and looking instead of clearing out to the left side. That is just going to be the round for Envy. Another big pickup here on Ascent defense for them.
Yeah, they're going to be very happy now because their money is in a decent spot and they are starting to work out the tendencies of Sentinels and where they are trying to push onto these sites. For Sentinels, it's going to be back to the drawing board and maybe try something a little bit different. They are continuously dominating areas of the map, but then it's where they're pushing through and which chokeholds they have to focus on. They might have to look at the scoreboard a little bit and kind of say, well, okay, who's playing well, who isn't playing well, who do we need to avoid? And clearly that man is kaboose. He has been the fragger for Envy at the moment. So you want to keep away from him and you want to make him forced to retake a site so that he's not just going to get those comfortable entry frags on the defensive side. So if he's playing A, you probably want to go towards B, but then the Cypher's there. So the push is always going to be very difficult to get towards that B site.
Revealing area.
As this match continues on, the options for Sentinels, right? And I think as Envy begins to kind of pinpoint where they're pushing, now we're going to start to see some activity toward A. This is going to be a fresher look for them. They have gone through from mid to B site in the past, but this will look like a firm commitment. And aKis still gets to spam through there. Calypso off screen tags zombs, thus ending his life. And that was going to be located by Cubby there. So they're just holding this one off nicely. dapr, though, trying to even the odds. That neural theft is going to give them some information. They'll see that B site only has 1 player standing. So if they opt to go that way, it wouldn't be the worst of ideas. 3 players are going to be stacked toward that A direction, but 2 on the site directly. dapr, if he gets a kill here against FNS, it will open up. And they will be able to take this. But it's going to come down to this pinch that happens in just a moment's notice. Sinatraa will move in, and then FNS really doesn't have any movement options. There goes the Hunter's Fury 2. Sinatraa, well timed. aKis from all the way across the map, though. Oh my goodness, Calypso. I can't believe that Sick actually poked back out, but he just wanted to get an angle. Spike is going to be down, so that was going to be the post-plant adjustment to just get an angle and cover potentially what would be coming from the defender side. dapr waiting at this doorway here, and he sees that kaboose goes through. Good trigger discipline to handle that. But kaboose does get that kill, and that's actually going to be Calypso. There's no real options here for dapr to get into it, and they will get the defuse. So dapr has no choice. Apologies. He just has to grab. That's what you got. He just has to grab that op for his team.
You said good trigger discipline, but he let his teammate die there.
That's true. That's true.
By waiting a little bit too long, and he's probably feeding that information to his teammate, saying, "I'm waiting. I wanted to see if anyone else is going to come," but just leaving that second too long. And now suddenly, Sentinels slowly starting to lose their economy. I see a bulldog that they have to work with. Look, he's waiting, but then he just kaboose out of nowhere, just suddenly fast strafes to the left, goes for the wide peak, and maybe that was just not expecting that. And that's going to be one of those ones where you just kick yourself a little bit. It's a small mistake. It does show that Sentinels are human after all, and they are not robots that maybe we once thought they were. As Envy really making a series of this and are very much impressing here. They are shining it. And the exciting thing, GB, is this is only the winner semis, right? So even the losing team still drops to the lower bracket and will still have a chance to get to those grand finals tomorrow.
Still a fighting opportunity for either of these teams. Envy have been on the upswing, though, in recent events. The last time that these two teams met in a final was going to be at the 100 Thieves Cash App Gamers for Equality tournament that took place. And that was going to be one of the first events that Sentinels won. And people were like, it's just a charity event. No one's actually going to be taking this seriously. But that final was great. And it ended on Ascent. And in that engagement, It was 13-3, if I'm correct, in favor of Sentinels. So they clobbered them on this map. Just goes to show you how fast things are moving in North American Valorant right now, Gaskin.
And I mean, both teams have improved since that point, as the option was there, but he just scopes out at the wrong time, does Calypso. Again, going to be kicking himself a little bit, but does reposition and refocus, and there is Sick just walking straight into that crosshair. And Calypso doing well to ensure that he makes this a difficult push onto the site. That's the third, looks for the fourth, but sinatraa doesn't want any of it and is already retreating off of that site. Immediately, with 5 seconds left, he just wants to save a rifle here because money not going to be good now for Sentinels. EnVy 4 in a row here. They are well and truly back in this game.
And to think, too, that Calypso was at death's door with how low he was on health. And the repositioning, too, because they were poking through that doorway and you're holding defensive side, you don't have an angle or eyes there to back you up. So he knows that at the very least, he would have been okay to poke and look back around toward their spawn. So the prediction and the pacing as well from Calypso is something that we really have to admire. This double op strat too has been working out for them as well, and it just helps that Calypso has been unreal with this gun thus far. Sees that someone's going to be there, finally will wait it out. Doesn't get rewarded for the shot, will be blocked instead. Now Sentinels will take mid control, maybe favoring tree side potentially, but they'll have to scope through this mid archway here to make sure no one's going to be watching these corners.
Plenty of mid control, but ever since EnVy have just been reluctant to push and they've just held their angles and played defense how some people say defense should have been played, they have found success. They've made Sentinels do something every single round, and EnVy have always had an answer to that. So I've been impressed with how quickly they adjusted to what Sentinels were offering on their attacking side here on Ascent. But it's whether they can continue this consistency to turn this into a 7-5 or even an 8-4 and try and force the hand of Sentinels when they have to defend.
So the wall comes out, blocking kaboose from getting involved in the action. aKis is going to be by himself here at A site. Does manage to get the kill. One player is going to be located up above too. Calypso, unlike the previous round, does not land the shot there, and sinatraa manages to hit him with the wall bang. 2 players left alive. It's mummAy and FNS. FNS, though, does jump in, and he will get in this, and I think they are going to hear that dapr. He's just too smart for that. mummAy, the smarter play here is to save this op. Don't give it to them. Back away and live to fight for another day.
One thing I think I have to bring up as well, I mean, I know you spoke about them facing each other in the final in that previous tournament, the 100 Thieves Cash Cup, but they also faced it up against each other in the Pulse Invitational too, and it wasn't a final necessarily, it was a 3rd place playoff, and it was just for that little bit of extra cash. But on the side of EnVy, I mean, kaboose had a poor game. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, he struggled here or there. Like, I think he went like 4-14 in one of the games, and he's stepping up now, like, in this series. Like, he's clearly gone back, judged what he's done wrong, and he's found ways to improve. Because as a Phoenix, I mean, 4 kills is not going to be enough, right? Like, you need to be picking up more. You are expected to be the fragger, and he's showing here that he does have the potential to do so. 12-6 right now. And he has been the leading charge, really, for EnVy in a lot of these rounds. And how did Sentinels win that round? They took down kaboose instantly. They walled him off. They ensured that he wasn't able to get any sort of easy spray downs. As soon as they had eliminated him, things were a little bit more comfortable for them to get onto the site. So Sentinels now analyzing where the strengths are of EnVy and trying to pinpoint them, trying to reduce their chances of being able to overwhelm them on sites.
Cage triggered.
Sentinels have managed to retake the lead. It is going to be a fragile one, though, as this match is incredibly close. The win history for Sentinels on Ascent, just like it has been for Split, is quite successful, and this team has had a lot of success as of late as well. Watch out, though. I think they might try and go for a Sage Wall over once they get through. Yeah, so Sick is going to get the angle around here, and then sinatraa. So Sick and sinatraa coordinate to be able to pick up 2 kills, and they'll just open up the B site now. aKis doesn't really have a choice. He has to back out of this one. He's on the ice, needs to go. Plant down. 3 players left alive for EnVy, but I just don't think it's going to be worth it for them to try and take this one over. Best to save those weapons if they can and reset for this next round. You can see that they've just gone clear to the other side of the map. And eventually, I think that Sentinels will know this, so they Might just try and spread out and hold the perimeter rather than going hunting, considering that 3 players are left alive. You never know what could happen there.
I guess this will say a lot of how Sentinels want to approach the rest of this half. If they go hunting, then it shows that they don't want to give the weapons to Envy. If they don't go hunting, then I think it shows the respect they have for Envy and their ability to take the guns off of Sentinels and ruin their economy. And as you can see, they're all exiting together, so they're not wanting to lose any of their guns. So they are respecting that Envy could be in a position to get these exit frags. And we do go to 6-4 here. And I'm wondering what Sentinels would be happy with. I mean, the way it's going could quite easily end up as like a 6-6, and then suddenly we're like, okay, well, we've got a game on our hands where we can't split between these two. If Sentinels make it 8-4, and then they turn around and win the pistol, then okay, I'm like, all right, well, Sentinels should be able to take this map. However, if Envy can take the pistol, like they were able to do in Split, again, could be very, very influential, could be vital for them trying to pick up a second victory and potentially taking the series as well.
Yes, this should do.
The last time Envy went on the attack against Cloud9, they just picked up 2 rounds, and those are going to be the pistols. They won the pistols, and then they were not able to win a single gun round after that, and it was just loss after loss after loss as they were defeated 13-8 on Ascent. So not quite sure if it's a matter of them perhaps not feeling comfortable on the attack, because they ended 6-6 against Cloud9, which it's kind of looking like it could be a similar instance here now, but action has begun. mummAy does get the kill, but it is reset by Sick, bringing him back. mummAy's going to be in the backfield now, and these guys are just going to be charging right into him. Despite being flashed out, aKis does manage to get a frag against Sinatraa. No one has actually gotten inside, and the spike will be down. Sinatraa was going to be the one carrying that. mummAy does get scouted out, so you know that he's going to be there, and he could not take the Blade Storm out in time, so B-site is available for them once again to place the spike down. Zombs with a frag in mid is pretty much going to knot this round up for them with a pretty little bow. And just look at the way Sick is fragging out with that snipe. And I think this round is pretty much going to go for Sentinels the way that they're playing this. I mean, Sick has just been a monster. 4 kills for him. What a beast.
Sick is so good. Like, the way he walks onto sites, just fearless, is something that you need on a team. And the fact he's a Sage doing that means that you can put players who maybe don't have that same confidence on characters that will give them the confidence by being able to flash their way onto site or smoke their way onto site, whereas Sick's just like, I don't need any of that. I don't need that rubbish. I'm just going to walk on anyway because I trust my aim. And that's why we're seeing so much success from this Sentinel squad, really. But Envy, I think, will be somewhat happy if they can get 4 or 5, but I think you're completely right. Their attacking side is really where we're going to see whether this is going to be a real game or not. Because
going for the poke.
There is going to be the opportunity there, but no one's really been facing it. I'm going to be completely honest. No one has taken those fights in middle ever since those first 4 rounds. Envy have not wanted anything to do with it whatsoever. And I don't feel like Sentinels will play that same way. I feel like Sentinels have picked up 7 rounds because Envy have dropped back and they've allowed Sentinels to take their time and kind of suss out, gain information, and then push onto a site, whereas Sentinels can get quite aggressive on their defensive side, and they don't give Envy that room to breathe. They don't give Envy that room to think about, where should we go? Should we go this way? Should we second guess ourselves? Instead, Sentinels will force them in a way, and they'll manipulate the map in the way they gain information defensively and ensure that they can pick up rounds consistently. So I'm excited to see how Envy approach their attacking side, if I'm completely honest, but we still have one more round to get through, and Sick is just going to push through the dark cover, but Calypso was there and waiting.
Yeah, I think he wanted that dark cover to be located a little further back so that he can safely cross, because there was no real path for him to get inside of the dark cover given the angle, and I wonder if that's what the tags were for. In any case, so we'll probably never know what the play was in that instance. Calypso is going to TP all the way over to Wine and pop up behind them, but they're going to hear that and they're wise to it, prepared for that push. Dark cover is deployed, blocking that vision, as dapr is going to just go inside of the dark cover now and try and spray this one out. Does get the kill, and then the neural theft through the dark cover will bail out of this. They'll see exactly where they are. Shahzam waiting around the corner because the neural theft activated and FNS was exposed. Still, though, the activity continues here over at the A site. mummAy's going to be the last player left alive here. The LMS to try and deal with this. Oh my goodness, what a shot! But it's only going to be one player left alive. Spike is still going to be in play, and Shahzam handles business with the Sheriff. But that could have been very dicey. It could have given Envy a little bit of momentum going into the half.
I mean, the things that these players do with Sheriffs, the confidence they have to push that 1v1 there with the Sheriff, not wait and try and cover an angle with an op. Very impressive stuff from Shahzam. 8-4 then for Sentinels. And that means we're going to see quite a confident attacking out from the opposition here. Otherwise, this is not going to be a comfortable spot for Envy. If they lose this pistol here and they're down 10-4, then they might struggle. It was a little bit different when it came to Split, because I feel like Envy is very comfortable on Split and it is their best map. But we know that Ascent is not their comfort zone whatsoever.
This kind of goes back to the conversation at the start of this match, Gaskin, that we had about that teams working on maps that aren't particularly favorable to just give themselves that upper hand in a best of 3. And Sentinels have just brilliantly been that team to work on Ascent while everyone else has been just entirely focused on the core maps and avoiding Split. So by core maps, I mean just Bind and Haven. And even then for Envy, they've actually like avoided Haven completely. They haven't played Haven in a minute. I wonder if it's just a matter that they have a few more things that they're going to have to work on here, and perhaps they weren't quite familiar with or needing to handle. A few kills are going to be exchanged. Now mummAy's going to give his teammates the advantage. Zom's dealing with the Phoenix, but kaboose, he's good for that shot. Only player left alive is Sinatraa. Now we got a pistol round win, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself here, Gaskin, because this also happened against Cloud9. They won the first 2 rounds, and then after that, they just got slapped.
But it's the best way to set themselves up for success. And if
Very
you've got
true.
mummAy and kaboose being successful with their pushes and with their aggression and their entry capabilities, then there's no reason why they can't pick up a lot of rounds here against Sentinels, because kaboose is on fire, mummAy's been playing very well. And if your 2 entry fraggers are getting entry frags, then of course you're going to be happy. Of course you're going to be able to get onto those sites. But then it's the post-plant positions. And we saw how successfully Sentinels were finding retakes on Split. If we're going to see anything like that here on Ascent, then Sentinels are going to be more than happy to kind of give up the site after losing a frag or 2. And then those retakes, if they continue to dominate, then that's where Envy are really going to struggle.
Yeah.
But until we see what Envy do after a couple of buy rounds, I don't know how this game's going to go just yet.
Ooh, a firm commitment toward mid does not pay off for Sentinels whatsoever. The last player on the site is Sinatraa. Will get himself a kill, though. Not going to be all that shocking. And they would rather not deal with Sinatraa here. So that bomb goes over to the A site. Spike will be planted in just a moment. Before that can even happen, though, FNS will get his, I think, his 3rd kill in this game. He hasn't had quite the game that you would normally expect from him. But I'm not too concerned considering how mummAy and kaboose, as you had noted, have just been dominating.
At the same time, when you're like playing Cypher and you're kind of holding a site on your own, you are going to struggle at times because people are going to avoid your site. Yeah, people are going to avoid your site, or they are going to completely rush your site and overwhelm you, and you're only going to be able to pick up 1, maybe 2 frags if you're lucky. So it can be a difficult, rough time if you are playing a Cypher. But then at the same time, when you're attacking, you're now playing this lurking character, and you can pick up kills if the other team is aggressive, and Sentinels are known to be aggressive. So this could be a chance for FNS to pick up some big frags and actually show how his role is very important now in this second half.
Well, aKis actually can get the first frag and does so. Sick pushes out, and he waited for him for what felt like ever, and does finally get rewarded. That aggression from Sentinels that you noted really working against them there. Now, if you've done your homework against Sentinels, and I'm assuming everyone that's watching this right now have gone through every single instance of Sentinels gameplay, what's something that they like to do as we get guns online, Gaskin?
What's something that Sentinels like to do?
Yes.
Well, they like to get the op.
No, they like to get the Odin on Ascent. And that's what they got for this round, which is the reason why Sentinels are not even paying attention to the B site. Because
I see what you're alluding to.
they're just not going to want to run into Sinatraa here. It's actually like a different kind of buy pattern, right? Most teams would try and go for that op, but instead Sentinels, they'll look to favor the Odin, and then I think they'll just favor these kills from zombs instead. Thankfully, Calypso's going to stop the insanity. The only player left alive is the man who will go burr with this Odin, which I know is your favorite gun, Gaskin.
I mean, I hate it. It looks very nice, but I hate it. But he certainly puts it to good use. And if you can get the spread on the Calypso here, but it looks like they're both going to face Heaven at the same time. So this is going to be very difficult. Yep. Really well played by Envy there, just recognizing the only place that the push was possible was going to be from Heaven. They knew there was going to be the Odin in the hands, so instead of holding sight and potentially getting wallbanged, they both ensure they face at the same time, because it's very difficult to get a spray cross when you are using the Odin. Like, if you can get one person, great, but then trying to control that thing for two, very, very difficult.
Oh yeah,
you're completely right. I mean, the Odin does just dominate the B site when Sentinels have it in their hands, so quite right for Envy to avoid it.
And now that they don't have to worry about that, I could realistically see them try maybe play for a pick or yank away some utility and then back around toward B. That also will mean that there's more investment on B, because I think that Sentinels, they're anticipating that, right? Also, aKis is going to be sniffed out there, the sneaky rat waiting in the corner, because he got sick last time and he did not want to have to deal with that again. So they force him out, and there is no Sage to heal, so he'll just have to take the L on that one as far as his health and armor is concerned. No utility really used, but they invest the wall to get the orb. That will go towards Sick. Players now rotating toward the A site, pretty much leaving B open and available, but they have to play around for each other because they only are going to have pistols.
Yeah, not much to work with whatsoever. The time is starting to dwindle away, so Envy will have to make a move. And if there can be a couple of early picks and maybe some guns rescued, then it could be winnable for Sentinels, but it's going to be very difficult. FNS is going to be here just on doors as Kaboose gets the opener onto sinatraa, and now this spike will go down. They are going to have the site, and the retake is not going to be easy, although Shahzam did take down Calypso, so that might be a gun for him to work with potentially. And that's always a scary factor. If you put a gun in the hands of these Sentinels roster, they can do some damage with it.
Yeah, even with the stinger here, zombs could just pick apart this entire team. And he also has Stick there for support. So there you go. It's like the prophecy comes true. They get the kill, but they will be diving right into a Phantom and a Vandal waiting located inside of Hell. Op plays are out here though, but this is now looking like a mighty winnable situation, as mummAy is just going to have to back away. He's got to get the shot, but doesn't end up happening there. And Sentinels, they get the thrifty round win. Jeez, man, just when you think Sentinels are going to be out, and Gaskin, you called it perfectly. You give them an inch, they're going to take a mile.
Yeah, they are going to be so happy they're able to pick off someone who is not on site waiting for that flank, because you gain a rifle and there's not going to be a trading capability. Also, you've got to give huge shout outs for getting a kill with a stinger. That gun can be very, very good in the right hands. Like, it does a decent amount of damage, and if you get the spray control right, they definitely do. And it's very cheap to work with as well. So I don't really blame the side of Sentinels for at least having one of them purchase it. As we take a look at the scoreboard and we take a look at the money again, now Envy, I mean, mummAy, you can see, not going to have too much to work with here, just going to have to use the classic, and Shahzam gets the opener. Maybe mummAy was going to go for a little bit of an ult there, get the blades out, and that's why we did see the purchase of armor, but no weapon. But Sentinels deny it immediately, so I cannot stress enough how big that is, because the blades can win these these thrifty rounds, or even rounds where you are the only player who hasn't been able to purchase a rifle.
Yeah, we've seen Tens do that before for Cloud9 in, I believe, PAX Arena. He just had like a massive game on Ascent when he popped off with Blaze and won them around that they had absolutely no business winning. So that was a critical kill to start things off. Now, as they play with a man down, they'll need to kind of analyze where they're going to want to go from here. And yet again, their concern is that B site, if Sinatra's there with an Odin, they just would rather not run into that. But what they will run into is Shahzam here with an op. Misses that shot, but it just a little bit to the right and actually would end up getting that kill. Now comes the Rolling Thunder. All these players are going to get stunned, and zombs manages to pick up 2 against Calypso. Sees Calypso and Kaboose just get rattled around there, and when he picked up that kill against Kaboose, it was FNS That actually follows up with one. Zomzo still waiting on the outside. Sick tries to just give himself an angle. Only 10 HP remaining for aKis. And they're going to see exactly where he is. Get the spike down, get some cash. Or maybe even try and bait this one out. A res is used, but that is going to be costly and expensive for him. Finally killed. And even though they used the res to try and keep the economy going for them, they are going to be out without that without that player, which I know will certainly be a little bit of a frustrating thing to deal with. But now they're at 10 rounds, Gaskin, getting oh so close to win this round. But Envy has made this one into a spectacular match so far.
Yeah, Envy, I mean, they did pretty well on their defensive side, and then of course winning that pistol is always going to help and make this game pretty close. But now we're starting to see Sentinels get control of their economy and pummel Envy into the ground a little bit, which is what Sentinels are very good at doing. When they get those rounds, when they get that money, they do snowball out of control. And the way that Envy can counter this is by getting a thrifty of their own, right? Like we saw how Sentinels were able to do so. Envy need a round like that. They need a round that they shouldn't be winning to actually be successful for them to really get themselves back into this game. Otherwise, Sentinels are going to continue to snowball and are going to get closer towards that match point and tying us up at 1-1.
Every round that goes by, Sentinels, they have continued to show the resiliency, and Envy, a credit to them as well. This has been a rough map for them in the past. Every match that they've played on this, it just hasn't particularly gone well for them. I want to say their current win rate on this is somewhere in the 40s currently. Some kills are starting to come through though. Zombs gets 2, Zombs gets 3, Zombs with 4, Zombs with the ace! By himself, by tree, and yeah, it was a pistol round, but you can be happy about that one. Well done.
I mean, killed the Jett who had the blades out as well, so that's always going to be something to add to the ace he was able to get. Decent spray control, just thick crosshair placement, everything was right about that, regardless of whether it was a pistol or not. Still very important, because if he goes down even after just one kill there, suddenly that opens up the potential for them to push onto the site. He has to hold that all on his own, and he's done very well to do so. Now a final buy, really, a final stand for Envy. Lose this one, it's 12-7, and then their economy is going to be pretty rough, and they're going to have to force up every single round that follows. So they need to make this one count. And really, they need to get that early pick, so...
Exactly. The first blood is everything, Gaskin.
And maybe that's why Sentinels aren't going to be as aggressive this round. They're just waiting, and they're seeing what Envy are actually going to try and accomplish here. Wait for any sort of audio cues, maybe wait for any of these ultimates that they know are potentially in the hands of Envy. Hunter's Fury available, Run It Back, and the Neural Theft. All there and available. So all the tools are there for Envy to win this round, but they have to actually make them count.
But they have to deal with dapr on B site, playing further back toward the steps, and then Sick will encounter 2 players here in a moment. Hunter's Fury now activated, but here comes Sick. Sick, oh, but FNS, well done. And now, while that was going on, the Hunter's Fury was played out there to try and see if he could remove dapr from the site. It was unsuccessful, although he is going to be a little tagged up. They still do manage to get onto B, but it is going to be a scrappy battle here. Only a few players are going to be left standing in this very critical round for Envy to try and win this one in a 3v4. Zombs in the backfield, though, is going to wrap it up. Shahzam and dapr are going to contribute to that one, too. And now we're at match point for Sentinels, and they're looking to tie this series up, bring us to game 3.
I mean, Sentinels just doing so well to kind of corner Envy there and make all 3 players in one position so that any utility that was left, any sort of damaging abilities could all be thrown out at the same time. Did very well to react to the ultimates that were available for Envy too. I mean, the Hunter's Fury was dodged, then the Run It Back came out, dapped that one accordingly by winning the trade, being aggressive enough to take the trade. A lot of people will, of course, run away from the Run It Back and just allow that person to free roam onto the site so that someone can push behind them. dapr says, no, actually, I'm not going to allow you to dominate your way onto the site. I'm instead going to take this fight, and then I'm going to drop back onto the site and take it instead as Shahzam gets the opener onto Calypso, and maybe this is the beginning of the end for Ascent when it comes to Envy.
That's right. The first nail in the coffin has been hammered in. Calypso is out and is waiting on bated breath to see if his teammates can pull this victory off, but a big first blood for Sentinels now, as Envy look to operate by the B site again. It didn't quite work out the last time. They had ults to work with. This time, they're just going to clear this one with drone. 2 players are lingering about. It's Sick and Dapr. Sick's playing in the back. The cross for that slow orb is out, but more blocking is going to come in, and Sick is just... I think Sick might just be tired of it and try and go over this one, but they're not looking at him, and yes, Kaboose gets 2 kills there in that exchange. Now Dapr's going to be in the back. 3 players he needs to deal with. Manages to get 1, then also does significant amount of damage to the other. Spike needs to go down here. mummAy at 26 HP. And let's not forget that Kaboose is also going to be weakened as well. Healthy players here for Sentinels can actually wrap this thing up. The final 2 nails in the coffin are going to be located in the back cubby on B site. But you cannot let them lay down that hammer, or else it will be over. It will be a wrap. The molly does come out. Shahzam's holding the angle in the back room there. Does manage to get the shot off. Is it going to come down to this, though, as Kaboose is going to be right there for the ace potentially, but zombs is going to prevent that from being a reality, and Sentinels will manage to win game number 2. We're going to go to a game 3.
We go to a game 3, and it was a comfortable game for Sentinels in the end. EnVy made a game of it, and at least by winning the pistol, they gave themselves a better chance on their attack.